guys, for my October 17th DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've gotten over the past, I think it's been like 2.5 weeks or so. And pretty much, you know, even though this is called the DVD update, I'm just going to keep the title because I do DVD update, DVD and Blu-ray reviews. This update is pretty much all Blu-rays. The first one I got is, this is one that I wish I would have discovered years ago. And it was out by Anchor Bay. It was like, you know, I think Anchor Bay has now become Image, something like that. I don't know what happened with it. But all the titles that Anchor Bay put out on DVD now are coming out on DVD and Blu-ray. It's weird coming out again. What's weird, though, is some titles like House and some of the other ones are only coming out on DVD. And then other ones are coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. So I don't understand the reasoning behind what does and doesn't come out on Blu-ray. But this one I had never seen before. And I really like this. It's called Dead Heat. It has a really cool theme to it. You know, they used it the menu and the credits. And this is basically about these two cops, so like a cop team, these partners in there. They go to, in the place that they filmed this at, which was really cool. They have like a disturbance or something, and they go to check out this lab. And it's actually, you know, the same building from Biodome. So if you're watching this, you're going to be like, it's Biodome. It's like that same place they actually went to, and they like set it up to be like an office. I think it's some kind of water treatment plant in real life, something like that. But it was cool seeing the Biodome thing. Like, you know, I think that this is way before Biodome, though. But in this movie, it's basically there's this, they're doing this experiment, so it's just like bringing people back to life. And the one character gets killed and dies in this room where, like, one of those rooms where it's like takes all the air out or something, and compression or something like that, and he dies. So they end up bringing him back to life in the machine. But he's basically dying slowly. You know, it brings you back to life, but you only live for like, I think like 10 hours or something like that. So his goal is to figure out who killed him. So it's him basically trying to do detective work, trying to figure out who did it. This movie has like the vibe of things like They Live and that kind of movie. Really fun movie. Definitely check it out. The next one just came out from Mill Creek. And, you know, it looked decent. It looked, you know, a bit better than DVD. And it's Camp Nowhere. This is a movie I grew up watching as a kid. Everybody in this movie was pretty much around the same age that I was, you know, when it was new. So I always thought this was a fun movie. It's about a group of these kids that are all getting sent away to summer camp. You know, the one where you have to sleep at. I never had to do that. I went to those day camps as a kid. Never would have wanted to do those sleeping in the woods things. But these kids don't want to go to the camp. The one kid's going to get sent to computer camp. The girl's going to get sent to drama camp, and then a fat camp, and then a military camp. And they're like, oh, it's too bad we can't have our own camp. So basically they find Christopher Lloyd's character and kind of blackmail him, you know, because they found out that he had a car that was, you know, he never paid for, something like that. So they end up blackmailing him to, well, it's sort of you know, I mean, not really blackmailing, but they kind of talk him into and pay him into doing, you know, pretending to be these counselors and making these fake camps. But basically there's no camp. It's basically one camp with all the kids screwing around at the camp. And, you know, it's a fun movie. And my favorite part was the end, when Christopher Lloyd has to play all the different characters and pull off, you know, trick the parents into thinking that these really are camps and stuff. I always wish they would have done a little bit more with that. But this movie always, to me, would be like a movie I would watch and then watch Heavyweights. Now, the next one is a sequel to a movie I really, really, really liked the first movie. I also liked that Roach, the actor who played Roach from People on the Stairs, was in the first movie. You know, the sequel, I don't know. It was not my favorite. You know, I don't know. It's ChromeSkull Laid to Rest. And, you know, it's like one of those movies, you know, where they're going, it's basically trying to show the backstory of ChromeSkull's character. And, I don't know, like the death scenes and the gore and all that kind of stuff was really good. But, you know, they put Danielle Harris in it, and, like, she didn't really get to do really anything. It was a part you could tell was, like, filmed in a day, and I don't know. I really didn't care too much for this. I don't really think they needed to make a sequel, or I wish they would have kept it more like the first movie. The first movie, in my opinion, a lot of people didn't love it. I loved the first movie. I thought it was really well done. I liked the kind of story that you didn't really know anything about it, just kind of started. You know, I don't know. I didn't love it. Now this, I ended up finding out early, but technically is out tomorrow. I found it out a week early. Yeah, Best Buy all this is like all of a sudden, and I don't know what's going on. Been putting things out by mistake a lot, and this is Kevin Smith's Red State, and I really wanted to see this, but I never had any of these screenings close to where I was. He came to talk about it at Comic-Con. I did see that, and it's basically Kevin Smith doing a serious kind of Quentin Tarantino style film. And, I thought it was really well done. It's not a perfect movie, but it's really well done. Kevin Smith, I know he says that he's doing one more movie and then he's, retiring and just doing the radio show on the internet, the Smodcasts. I really hope he doesn't, decide to do that. I really like the stuff he does. I also got Jan Silent Bob Strike Back. I'll talk about that next. But basically the story is about these three kids that want to, they basically want to meet a woman to sleep with, through those like Match.com kind of sites. And there's no one around in their area because they live in like the middle of nowhere. But they find one woman listed there, so they make a plan to meet up with her, and they go to where she lives. And it's this really crummy trailer out in the middle of nowhere. And basically the whole thing is a setup, and it's basically they get kidnapped and tied up and everything by this really crazy religious group. Kind of like the groups that hangs up the signs, God hates it. I don't say that word, but you know what I'm talking about. That group, I hate that group. But it's basically a group like that kidnaps them. It's basically Kevin Smith is kind of doing his own take on that group. It's not what they've done, but it's kind of like what they could do, or what I mean. It's basically his take on that whole thing. And I really thought this was great. John Goodman plays the cop, the main cop that's trying to resolve the situation. There's a lot of inside things going on with the FBI and stuff. It's a really cool movie. The kids in it, the one kid was from The Haunting in Connecticut and the new Nightmare on Elm Street, and I've always liked that actor, as well as the other one was from Gentlemen Broncos, who's a great actor. He was the other kid in this. I would definitely recommend checking this out, and as I said, it's like totally different for Kevin Smith. The one character, though, I could tell the deputy, I could tell Kevin Smith, I thought, just the way it seemed, that Jason Mewes could have played that part. Now, the next one I got was, Jan Silent Bob Strike Back, and I wanted to watch this again. I think I have a DVD of it. The pain with these Blu-rays of these movies is they don't have the features. And the thing with Kevin Smith is he always loads these up with features, and especially this and Mallrats and some of the other ones have hours of deleted scenes. But and sometimes the deleted scenes are as good as the movie, and then you kind of miss them when they're not there. But this movie was basically Kevin Smith, the main characters that everyone really liked, Jan Silent Bob. And when I first watched this, I felt like I sort of liked it, but I didn't absolutely love it. When I watched it now, I liked it a lot more. But it's Jan Silent Bob, the characters, and they're making a movie about them in the movie, because they're basically, the one character drew them as a comic, and they were going to stop the movie, Jan Silent Bob. So they're road tripping to California to stop it, and all these things happen to them along the way. Definitely, if you haven't seen this, really fun movie. I'm sure at some point, I know he says Jan Silent Bob are done, but I'm sure 20 years from now, 15 years from now, they'll pop up in some way. I mean, look at Beavis and Butthead. Mike Judge said that never going to see them again, and now they're back. Coming back, I think like in a week or so. The next one I got was Horrible Bosses, and this was the one about the three guys that hated their bosses and come up with a plot to kill them. And, I don't know, I thought it was a fun movie. I talked about this a while back, though. The next one I got was Heathers, and I watched this again for the first time in a long time. I remember the DVD of this was one of the Anchor Bay titles that had a lot of problems. I don't know if anybody remembers during that time when Anchor Bay discs were having all these issues, and I think Opera, wouldn't play, and then some of the discs would basically turn black. You would be able to watch them once, and then after like a month or so, the disc would become 100% black. You couldn't do a thing with it. And I don't know what was going on with those discs, but it was like this thing that was going on with all of them. But Heathers was about Winona Ryder, who is basically, if you've seen Mean Girls, and basically took a lot of ideas from the storytelling, the way this was told, and Jawbreaker was kind of a total, pretty much copy of this. I liked Jawbreaker alright, but it wasn't that great. With this, though, it's about these three. There's four girls, Winona Ryder, and then the three other girls that are all called Heather, and they're all the real popular girls at school, the girls that everybody likes. And Winona Ryder meets Kristen Slater's character, who's kind of a loner, and he's the new kid, and they basically, become friends, start dating, and then basically Winona Ryder and Kristen Slater's character want to talk about what it would be like to kill off the main Heather, the main girl and stuff. And things start going awry. It's a really cool movie. If you haven't seen this is one you definitely have to watch. Now, this is an exclusive to Best Buy Blu-ray. And it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the exclusive version. And I haven't seen this. They had a whole, setup for this at the one Best Buy. Some of the other ones didn't have that. I think they also have Naked Gun and Airplane 1, I think, as exclusives on Blu-ray, too. But if you haven't seen this, this is about, this is a really good movie. My favorite line was that John Candy going, I like me. My customers like me. My wife likes me. That's such a cool line. I don't know. It's such a good movie. But Steve Martin's basically trying to get back home during the holidays, and, everything goes wrong. And he ends up meeting John Candy's character. And they kind of team up. Steve Martin doesn't really want to team up, but John Candy is always there and just keeps on following him everywhere. And it's them trying to get back home and all the things that go wrong along the way. That one movie, whatever that new one with the guy from The Hangover, kind of was like this. But, everything goes along around the way, and they run out, they lose their money, and they have to try and find a way to make more money. And John Candy's character sells these shower curtain rings, and he pretends like they're earrings and stuff. It's hard to explain. There's just so many different things that happen in it. But this is one of those movies that if you haven't seen this, you need to just go out and see it. And, sometimes people say that about some movies, and you're like, what? No, this is a really fun movie. Now this, I was so glad this finally came out. I was disappointed, though, that they didn't get Paul Reubens to do a commentary for this in character as Pee-wee, which I thought would have been really fun. And it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And, this is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it looks great on Blu-ray. Hopefully they'll put out Big Top Pee-wee. I know it wasn't as good. I still liked it, though. But in this movie, Pee-wee's character, his bike gets stolen, and it's him going on the trying to find the bike, running into odd characters along the way. This is an absolute must-see movie. Some people, if you didn't grow up with this movie and you're younger, some people think he's weird and stuff. But this movie, he played Pee-wee too, so perfect in this. And the Pee-wee Herman Pee-wee from the Pee-wee's Playhouse is a little bit more kind of childish or kiddish. In this, he plays it more adult. And I don't know, I love the way he played Pee-wee in this. The next one I got was Scream 4. And, I just sort of got it together because, I liked it better than the sequels. I liked Part 2 of Scream alright. 3 was just alright. This one was really, I thought it was actually pretty decent. It's basically the Scream character comes back, and, you can't really say too much about it without ruining it. It's really kind of tough. And then I got some catalog titles that just came back out. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I don't know if this one has that weird extra scene. The HD DVD had this strange scene. It was like 2 lines that were added in. It wasn't on the DVD, and don't ask me why. It was just like this extra line that was in it. So I didn't get to look and see if that weird line was in this too. And now this is another must-see film, and it looked pretty good on Blu-ray. It didn't look amazing. It wasn't cleaned up as good as I was hoping it would have been. But it's such a good movie, and it's The Bad Seed. And if you haven't seen this, this is one you have got to watch. It's the one character, they made a remake of it in the 80s that I got a while ago, which was alright. But it's the character is Rhoda. It's this girl who is like this real cute girl, real sweet. Everybody likes her, but she's really bad. And the one kid at the school wins this penmanship medal that she desperately wanted. And she thought she should have won the thing. And she can't stand that, that he won. And basically, I don't want to ruin everything about it, but she ends up getting the medal from him and killing the kid. And, you can say that because that happens in the first couple minutes and you kind of know, or at least I always knew. But it's just so good. And I always love that scene too, with her and Leroy, when she's like, "You got my shoes. You give them back to me, Leroy. I was only kidding." That whole thing when he's going on and on about it, and he's like, I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, it's just such a good movie. The next one I got is Final Destination 3. I'm going to have to keep the DVD, though, because I realize it doesn't have that. At least it doesn't... Oh, no, it does have that. Change the course of the movie. I didn't even realize it had that. So I guess I can get rid of the DVD. Because it had that function on it that I really liked, where you could choose during certain scenes how they die. It kind of changed it around a bit. And then I also got... And I can't remember what happens in this. Friday. I can't remember the whole details of it. A lot of these things were $7.99. Like this, a lot of this stuff I've gotten on sale. That's why I got so much stuff. 40 Days and 40 Nights. And, you know, this was a fun movie. I had never seen it before. I got it. And Josh Hartnett, who I haven't seen anything lately at all. I don't know what happened to him. But he... his character basically got out of a bad relationship, so he's like going on a 40 days, 40 nights without sleeping with anybody. But then he meets this girl right when he starts this thing, so he has to try and resist from sleeping with this girl for 40 days, which really isn't that many days, but it turned into like this huge thing to make that happen. And then I got Dead Alive, which was, I don't know if it still is, one of the goriest movies, with especially the end sequences. And this is Peter Jackson's first movie, which was a, I need to rewatch this. It was a guy with his mother, and I think the mother died and she came back to life. It's been so long since I've seen some of these. I got Deep Impact, and I'm not going to explain all these ones. I got The Lion King Blu-ray, because I knew if I didn't get it, people were going to go on about it. I think I didn't get it last time, or they said, "Are you going to get it?" And I know, it was always a movie I liked. And I also got The Thing. I saw The Thing it's not really a remake, but it's a prequel. I don't know. I did not love it. The CGI in it. I normally don't go off on CGI anymore because, you know, it's 2011. That's pretty much what they're doing for the most part. But the CGI in The Thing, the prequel, just wasn't that good. And Carrie and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first remake. Basically, I've been going through and getting rid of a lot of the DVDs and selling them, and then upgrading a lot of the ones that I really like. There's some that I'm like, I don't care about upgrading. Now, on to the few DVDs I got. Got Boy Meets World, the last season. And now I want to review... now, this movie, you can watch this through Facebook, and I'll post a link, you know, in the description of this, where you can see it. And I don't have a cover for it. It's called The Perfect House, and the movie is basically about a couple that's moving into, it's looking at a house with a realtor, and basically all these terrible things have happened in this house before. Basically, it keeps being sold because, you know, all the things that happened. So while they're walking through the house, I don't know if, I think she was telling the stories, or they were kind of like feeling the vibe or something about what happened. And there was, I think it was 3 different stories. My favorite one, the one that really stood out, was the one with the segment with Jonathan Tiersten, who was from the original Sleepaway Camp and Return to Sleepaway Camp. And then I can't remember which one, but he was in one of the after school specials, and I have those. I need to rewatch it to figure out which one he was in. But I don't know, I really liked it. He did so good in this. His segment was about him, this guy that would kidnap people, and he would pretty much torture them, and he had this one girl that was watching them, and, you know, seeing his art. And I don't know, I couldn't get over, he did so, I mean, he totally stole the movie. He did great. But the other segment, which did creep me out, I will admit, I don't get creeped out by stuff too much, but it really went for it, and I definitely give it credit for that. It was about a family. It was Felicia Rose, and the other actor, I was cool to see him again. He was from Return of the Living Dead, and he was the one, I think it might have been Chuck. There was like, the one character was like, I never did like you, and it was him. He played the father, and they basically took something from the, sorry I'm explaining this weird, but they never returned his weed whacker, something like that. And the guy basically invited him over and found out that they never returned it, and things go awry. And trying to think of what the other segment was. The other segment was a family that was like in the basement at night, and the power had all gone out, and it was like a big storm, so they were basically down there trying to keep safe, and they're playing a game, and all these things go bad. I don't want to ruin things about it, but this is definitely, this is one of the best indie horror movies I've seen in a long time. I'm really serious. This really was worth watching. The next one I got was Beware. Now, I've had this before, but I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to mention that I reviewed this a while ago. I don't have the new DVD, but it's coming out to DVD tomorrow on DVD, and it's a slasher movie, definitely worth watching. You can also rent it on demand. I saw it on Time Warner. It's on cable. So look up the movie Beware, and you also can look at the trailer for it on YouTube. Definitely check it out. Also, this is one I reviewed a while ago too. That's now come out on official DVD. And it's Cecil and Otto's Summer Camp Massacre. And this is definitely another one to check out. And it's finally out through, I can't remember the company. This is not the new DVD. This is the old one. But I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And I got, just because I like this box, and it's basically all these old shot-on-video movies, the Basement Collection. And it has, for never-before-released Captives and The Basement. And a friend of mine, Krystle who directed President's Day and Witch's Brew, did the music in it. Because I think the movie never was completed. Because I think it was dubbed over later too. But he did the new music for it, and he made it sound like 80s synth. He did a really good job. And of course, it has Video Violence 1 and 2 and Cannibal Campout. I watched Campout again. I really like Campout a lot more than I remembered. But anyway, that was all the stuff. There's still some stuff here that I haven't shown. And some of these ones, too, are a mesh of things from like a month that I just haven't gotten to show. So I've got a bunch still to go through. But anyway, though, thanks a lot for watching, for subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.